org. Now we're going to catch up with our favorite coffee guru here on Good Things. We've got Kenneth with UMBLE Coffee out of Starkville joining us today. Hi, Kenneth.
Hi, Rebecca. How are y'all?
Doing well. It's a beautiful day that the Lord has made for a good afternoon cup of coffee and catching up on the good things. So how are things going in the coffee world?
It's good. So we just announced recently that we are bringing on a new coffee that we're super excited about. That's what we call a giving back coffee. And so I thought it'd be a great thing to talk about on Good Things.
Well, giving back is always a good thing, but I think it's also good for us to be reminded that most of us listening to Good Things, there are a few of you out there who don't necessarily like coffee, and I still don't understand each of you, but that's okay. You have the right not to like it, but for the most of us, it's a part of our everyday routine is drinking coffee. But the one thing we can't really grow well here in Mississippi or really in the United States is the actual coffee bean. So we need to think about the fact that it is happening in other countries, even though it's roasted here. So how did this all come about to connect maybe to giving back where you've chosen?
Right. So kind of long story short, we did Mistletoe Marketplace this past year and just happened to meet the daughter of a missionary who is in Zambia with a group called Living Hope International. They are a Christian-based group that is building a complex of several things, school, medical clinic, all that kind of stuff, but they're focused around an orphanage in Zambia. And the way it relates to coffee is part of the way that they teach the orphans or the kids there a trade as they grow up, but also a way to bring money back into the orphanage is through coffee. So half of their campus is for the kids, and half of it is actually a coffee farm.
Super interesting, and I think people would be, surprised to learn too, Kenneth, is that a lot of coffee farms are family, small farms, or they are operations that, help fund these type of things overseas. It's not the world that we necessarily think. It's not the same type of agriculture as we have sort of here in the United States, I think is what I'm trying to get at. Would that be fair?
Yes, that would be fair.
All right, so tell us about the Upper 90, I think is the name of the coffee with the calls. What's the story behind the name?
Right, so if you and maybe Rhino knows, because I know how athletic you are, Rhino, Upper 90 is the corner of the soccer goal or the football net. Like if somebody said he hit it in the upper 90, it's that left or right corner. And so, with UMBLE Coffee, we're more geared towards focusing on bringing a coffee that is optimized for health activity, getting out there doing stuff. And so we thought this would tie in great because the kids there, their favorite sport obviously is football or soccer as we would call it. And so we wanted them to be able to have something a name that would resonate with them as well. And so Upper 90, that's the name of the coffee.
So give us a little background on the coffee's maybe taste. Is it a medium roast, light roast? What are we getting if we get the Upper 90? Because with a name like that, I want a jolt of energy coming from my cup.
Well, I can tell you, I had 2 cups of it this morning, and 2 cups is more than plenty as far as caffeine goes. And it is a light roast, but because of how far Zambia is from the equator and the overall elevation, even though it's in Africa, which we think of as more like what we call fruity or acidic type flavors coming out of the beans, this is a milder flavor, and it really, really sits nice as far as just a straight up black cup of coffee. I mean, you could put stuff in it, but honestly, right now it's my favorite cup that we have.
So just to make the connection, if you were to get the coffee with the calls, the beans or the coffee itself is coming from the same place where the children who you are helping with the orphanage, the Living Hope International, is located? Is that, it's all one big happy family?
That's correct. So this is what in the coffee world, we'd call it like a direct trade relationship, and it's really our first. So I could call up, the guy who heads the coffee farm down there at any time. And so, yes, this is directly from their farm, and every bag, there's a significant chunk of money that then goes back into supporting that orphanage.
Could you help us maybe understand, Kenneth, the words fair trade? We see it often whenever we are in the grocery store. It's getting a little bit more common. You may think that it's connected to better health outcomes or, organic or something like that. But what does the seal for fair trade mean, at least in the coffee world?
Well, it's not going to be the answer that everybody would want it to be. So fair trade, it is a tag that can be on coffees, but it's still as a price that either an importer or a direct trade relationship would pay for the coffee. It's still not a high enough price to significantly affect their quality of life in a third world country. And so, like, for example, with this coffee, we pay more per, pound of coffee for it than we do any coffee that we bring in right now. And part of the reason is you have that direct trade relationship, so people on the other end. And so you have a heart for them. And so we're kind of just, we're doing it really to kind of help them out. And of course, it's a great cup of coffee to boot.
Would it be similar then, at least with a partnership like what you've created with, is it Zambian? Am I saying that correct? Or Zambia? Zambian is the light roast coffee. Okay, Zambia. It would be the same as maybe choosing to buy your Smith County watermelon straight from the farmer itself, or, your Mississippi tomatoes at your local farmer's market, or supporting a local dairy, opposed to maybe going to the bigger box stores, although, you do what you got to do, but that's just the difference in the buying and selling relationship.
That's correct. And so, in it, you are probably paying a little more if you're getting that watermelon directly from the farmer. But on the flip side, you're getting a much, much fresher product, and it's something that you have direct feedback to the person growing it. So that's part of what you're paying for.
Oh, sure. And you're helping out, it's another way of supporting small businesses that, are also impacting real lives. Even if they are international, they're still kids who could use help. And going back to what I was mentioning first here on Good Things with you, Kenneth, is no matter what cup of coffee you enjoy in the morning, I promise you that it was not grown in the United States, more than likely, and definitely not Mississippi, but you can support the roasters here locally. And I know we've got a wealth of those across the state, including yours there in Starkville. So now you're tapping into two small businesses, pretty much, right?
Yes, yeah. So of course us, and we're mainly online and wholesale. We actually are picking up several coffee shops around the state and boutiques and places like that. So if your local coffee shop doesn't carry UMBLE, there's no better reason or time than now when we're bringing on a coffee that's going to be supporting an orphanage somewhere in a more needy part of the world than here.
And they're working for it. I mean, they're the ones who's helping to grow the product in which you are choosing to purchase from a local roaster here. I think it's a great story all around, Kenneth, and good business decision on your part. You could have chosen from a lot of different avenues. So kudos to you. So where do we go if we want to try this Upper 90 coffee?
If you just go to umblecoffee.com, and so that's like your grandma used to say, he's so humble. So literally, Southern colloquialism, drop that H, UMBLEcoffee.com, and just look for Upper 90. If you don't like coffee, which Rebecca and I
don't understand
shun you, but if you don't like coffee, then you can support Living Hope International. It's just one word. It's livinghopeinternational.org, and you can sponsor a child. You can do all kinds of stuff there. So go check them out.
So pretty cool. Well, I hope to get you back in the studio soon, Kenneth. I know you're up to a lot of roasting events and stuff. Hopefully it's opening back up, and we'll have to catch up on that. But it's been a pleasure having you.
Yep, great to talk to y'all. See ya.
All righty. Stick with us. We've got more good headlines.